if you try making that square root of 9 plus square root of 4, square root of 9 is equal to 3. Square root of 4 is equal to 2, which is 5. Okay. So we know square root of 9 plus 4 is square root of 13. We know square root of 13 is not equal to 5. So that's why it wouldn't work with adding and subtracting. So square root of 9 plus 4 does not equal 5. All right. Any questions on that one? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's say, for example, if you wanted to simplify pick a good example here. Let's say for problem A, the square root of 12. Let's say for problem B, square root of 98. And let's say for problem C, say 5 times the cube root of negative 64. Okay, so let's say for A, square root of 12. Okay. Now you can break 12 down into 6 and 2, 12 and 1, but you want to look for a way to break it down to where you have a perfect square. So the only perfect square that you can break 12 down into is 4 and 3, because 4 is a perfect square. So 12 equals 4 times 3, and you want to find that perfect square. Because remember, 2 times 2 will give you that 4. Okay, so that means you have square root of 12 equal to square root of 4 times 3. Okay, so when you separate it, you have square root of 4 times square root of 3. Wait a minute, this one looks familiar. Did I do this one already? Or was it just really close to that? Nope, I don't know why it just looks close to that. Okay, so we know square root of 4 is equal to 2 times square root of 3, which you can't really simplify the square root of 3 anymore. So it's just 2 square root of 3. Okay, so for B, same thing. Square root of 98, you want to look for a perfect square in there somewhere. So with that one, you can actually break 98 into 49 times 2. Okay, so 49 is that perfect square. Okay, so you have square root of 98 equals the square root of 49 times 2. Okay, and just like before, we're just going to go ahead and separate them. So you have the square root of 49 times square root of 2. Okay, so we know square root of 49 is 7. So you have 7 times square root of 2, which you can just write it as 7 square root of 2. All right. Any questions on that one? All right. Now for C, we have 5 times the cube root of negative 64. So before we were looking for perfect squares because we had a square root. Now we want to find a perfect cube somewhere in there, which for negative 64, negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 gives us that perfect cube. So we don't really have to simplify that one, you know, as far as like breaking it down to something smaller. So that's negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. I might as well put the multiplication sign there. Okay. So we know that 5 times the cube root of negative 64 is just 5 times negative 4, which is negative 20. Okay. So sometimes it just kind of falls right into place. Sometimes you have to work with it a little. Okay. Any questions on that one? All right. So if at all possible, you want to still writing. These are good to know. Uh-oh. Your perfect squares. Uh-oh. There we go. Remember, 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 and 4 is 16. 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, and it keeps on going. Remember, this is just your 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, etc. Okay, those are all your perfect squares. Your perfect cubes, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. And it keeps on going and going and going. Remember, this is just your 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 1 times 1 times 1, times 3 times 3, 4 times 4 times 4, and etc. You don't have to memorize them, but they're kind of good to know. Let's say you have your perfect fourth powers. Okay, so 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, and we're only going to go so far on that one because it builds up really quickly. And 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. 3 times itself 4 times is 81. 4 times itself 4 times is 256. 5 times itself 4 times is 625, and it builds up really fast. So it's 1 to the 5th, 2 to the 5th, 3 to the 5th, 4 to the 5th, and 5 to the 5th power. Oh, 4th, thank you. I think I was thinking about that 5 right there. Okay, so kind of helpful to know those. And for the most part, you probably won't go past third or fourth, but just in case you see a perfect fifth power. One thing about 1 to any power again is just 1. 2 to the fifth power is 32. 3 to the fifth power is 343. 4 to the fifth power is 1024. And it builds up really fast. 2 to the fifth, 3 to the fifth, 4 to the fifth, and so forth and so on. Okay, so like I say, you don't have to memorize them, but sometimes when you're going over problems like, where is it? Square root of 98, it's helpful to kind of know, okay, I can bring a 49 out of there. Or you may have a number a little bit bigger that you say, okay, I can bring out a 256 or something like that. Like I said, just helpful to know. All right, so any questions on that one? No questions at all? Or you just wanted me to be quiet so you can get out? Yeah, that's pretty much it, I figured. All right.